Hola and welcome to the Latino Business Journey podcast presented by the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Michael Puente. And more than 30 years ago, Guillermo Garcia transformed a small environmental services company into a multifaceted consulting firm specializing in engineering, environmental, and construction management. And joining us to talk about his journey is GSG Consulting CEO and founder, Guillermo Garcia. Welcome to the podcast, Guillermo.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Can you believe it's been 30 years since you got started?
You know, it's hard to imagine. 30 years go super fast, and I don't even want to think about it, but it is 30 years, 32 years to be exact.
Well, part of the reason for this podcast is to talk about the journey Latino business owners have gone through to get to where they're at today. Many are successful as yourself. Tell me about those early years. How did it start? And it must have been a struggle.
It was a big struggle. We didn't have chambers that we have today that really help and cater to young, aspiring businesses. We didn't have bank relationships. We didn't have a credit line. It was hard to find rental space. One client, one idea, and one challenge. And nowadays there's a lot of certifications to obtain, and a lot of different opportunities that come up. So it's very difficult because we don't have what we have today.
When you started first in the business, did you feel there was a niche that you were trying to fill that just wasn't there in the marketplace?
The niche we had was a little relationship where I used to work at, where they were fulfilling a minority-owned business need in the Chicago Public Schools. And that's what we're doing. Mostly school inspections, environmental, phase ones, phase twos, and that's what we specialized in. Then by now we're a multifaceted civil engineering firm.
And as you're climbing through the ranks there, how difficult was it to continue to grow as a business?
Well, that's the hard part. To continue to be multifaceted, you need to continue to grow, open up new doors. There's a lot of struggles to get into IDOT, Tollway, Chicago Airport, Midway Airport, where we have multi-contracts now, and Metro, CTA. Those agencies are very difficult to work with because they're the good old boys have been there for so long.
And as you're doing this work, so you work, but then the business side of everything from payroll to scheduling to just the basics of running a business. How did you learn that?
Well, that's the hard part. I think we had training wheels where we were just learning as we were going. We're fortunate that we found some good small accounting firms that were helping us along the way to keep our books in check. But of course, you always fell behind because you didn't have a large credit line. And the credit line was my mother and my uncle who helped me and fund my business. They lent me, at that day, 30 years ago, it was about $200,000,
wow,
which is probably close to $1 million now. So that's how I banked my business back then.
Before we get too far ahead, tell us a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up, and then why engineering?
Well, it's pretty funny because I own a civil engineering firm. I'm probably the only non-engineer that owns one of the largest Hispanic-owned engineering firms in the Midwest. But I grew up in Pilsen. Probably one of the first Hispanics that were living there, born and raised. And then we moved up to Ukrainian Village, which is, well, it wasn't Ukrainian Village, it was Polish. Back then it was in Augusta and Wood. And from there, went to grade school, then moved up to Skokie, Illinois, probably the first Hispanics that moved up in Skokie, which was a culture shock because we were the first Hispanics there also. And then from there, just went off to the University of Northern Illinois. And that's where I received my bachelor's degree in vocational education.
What was it about engineering that you liked so much?
Well,
you're a non-engineer, but you went into those services.
Yeah. Well, I think it was challenging because there were not too many engineering firms that can get into those doors. And when I met my other partner, he's a civil engineer, so he told me we can really do well in this business, but you need to open up the doors, and that's what I did.
And how do you open up those doors?
It's one of my secrets of my trade, you know. But to open up those doors, you had to be in a lot of different places and go to different outings. A lot of every day, every night, just building relationships and going to different meetings, any type of opportunities that were out there, just to meet a lot of different people and try to build those relationships and see who knew who. And you never know who you meet at the these different meetings outside of 5 p.m.
Did you see a willingness on the part, like one of your earlier contracts were with Chicago Public Schools? Did you see a willingness for them to work with Hispanic-owned businesses, or was it difficult?
It was difficult, but there was a willingness, like you said. At least they had the opportunities back then, and I think that gave us the opportunity to open up that door and at least get started. So yes, I would say Chicago Public Schools played a big role.
Your Latino background, did you look at it as a hindrance to overcome or an advantage?
I would say an advantage because, the Mexican is always willing to work and outwork anybody else. And I wanted to meet that challenge. And that's what I've been doing all my life.
Tell me about those earlier projects. Exactly what were you doing?
The earlier projects is actually going out and not only obtaining the contracts, but going out and doing the work myself. It was me and my partners back then. We would go and do the work ourselves because we couldn't pay nobody else to do this projects, and we had to work close to 20 hours a day.
Wow, those are long days.
Long days.
And then you decided to expand into other services.
Yes, about 20 years ago we decided to go into civil engineering, and with the help of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber, they were really ones pushing the door at the tollway, and decided to put teams of Hispanics together and open up the doors at the tollway at IDOT and CDOT, which is the Chicago Department of Transportation. IDOT is the Illinois Department of Transportation.
And so you've also done some work with the Chicago Housing Authority as well.
Correct. Yeah, the Chicago Housing Authority has been very, very open to minority-owned firms to obtain contracts and to do well. And they give you a great opportunity. I think we've been working there for over 25 years. 25 years.
And when in working with the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, what were some of the services that they were able to provide that made it, I wouldn't say easier, but at least help grease the wheels a little bit in doing what you need to do?
Well, the executive directors can always open up those doors. They can, come to talk to the tollway director, the IDOT director, and say, hey, how come we don't have enough Hispanic-owned businesses doing work at your agency? So that was the trigger mechanism that we started at the Illinois Hispanic Chamber, and along with the Hispanic caucus, to really push that button and talk to the tollway and the IDOT directors and say, how come there's not enough Hispanic participation in all these Illinois contracts? There probably was 1% back then. I think we're close to about 20% now. And you're talking about millions of dollars.
Yeah, millions of dollars that are at stake there. Looking back in your career it's been since 1992. Is there anything you would have done different?
I don't think so. I think you learn as you go. You trip a lot, you fall a lot, but you need to learn from those trips and falls to get where you're going. And I think I've been fortunate to meet a a lot of good people that really been instrumental to help me and help our business grow, along with the chamber, other agencies, and different engineering firms that I can mention.
How many employees do you have now?
We have about 160 employees.
And you started off with just like two?
Just two people, yeah.
And, over the years, technology changes, the way business is done. How do you keep up with all that?
Well, technology, it's a hard thing. You got to keep on changing. You need to buy the necessary equipment, desktops, laptops, softwares to meet the need of your clients. And you need to invest. And what we've done all the time is, instead of taking the dollars and putting them in your pocket, we always reinvest it in our business. Along with we owned drilling rigs, we owned drones, we owned the high-tech equipment that we can compete with other engineering firms.
Is AI playing a part in your development?
Oh, it sure is. It's up and coming. We have to be ready. And as soon as it takes over, we have to be there.
A lot of people, when you hear the word pandemic, they feel, we're already a few years away from it, but it did paralyze work. How did it impact you at that time?
It's kind of funny. We not funny, but truthful, that we really excelled back in the pandemic days, because I think we were motivated, we were hardworking. All of our employees wanted to continue to work. So we were, I think it was called essential, that all the engineering groups had to work. So we kept on working, and we had all our crews working, some from home, but a lot of out in the field. So we excelled, and I think we did even better those years during the pandemic.
Did it force you, now coming out of in the recovery, force you to change the way you operate? Did it end up impacting how you do business?
Not really. We all had to adapt a little bit with people working from home, but as soon as we came out of it, I think we came full blast, and we kept on working. I think we're still growing, and we also add some new services. Like I mentioned, we are now a full service surveying firm. So we have to keep on growing, keep on adapting, keep on adding new services so we can meet the need of our clients.
When you say it's your mother, and I believe your mother and another relative who helped you with that $200,000 loan, how were they in the position to do that? Were they already sort of deep pocketed, or was it a struggle, was it a sacrifice?
It was a sacrifice. I was blessed that my mother took her 401k, and my uncle, like I mentioned, they both were retired back then, and they said they had a lot of trust in me, and they said, here, run with it. Their life savings. So
wow.
So that was a big trust, and I still have my mom here today, and my uncle also. They're both in. My mom turns 90 this June. My uncle just turned 9. It's going to turn 91. So they're still with me. So they're very happy and very blessed.
She had a lot of faith in you.
A lot.
Was it a lot of pressure?
Well, it's a lot of pressure because it's not my money, and I want to make sure I didn't let them down. So I had to do the best that I can.
What's your advice to those who are considering becoming an entrepreneur and looking to go into business? What's some of your advice?
I would say that talk to somebody who's been there already. Somebody like myself who's gone through this, so that you can get a lot of the different advice and a lot of their failures, so that you don't have to go through the same failures that we've been through. Ask those tough questions. One of them is finding a good business relationship with a bank. You need, depending on what type of business you're going into, because if you're going into contracting, you need bonding and insurance. And those are the big factors. And then also, we're a unionized company. We're a local 150, which there's not too many Hispanic-owned or Black-owned businesses that deal with unions. And unions are very difficult. They can really take you out of not only a business, but make you lose your whole life savings in your home and they keep a credit on you. So all those things is talk to the people who've been through this. There's a lot of people at the chamber, a lot of people at the board who've gone through these same struggles that I have. To talk to them, and ask them those tough questions, and ask them what some of the trips and falls that they had.
What's the future for GSG Consulting? Where are you looking to transform your company even further?
Well, like I mentioned, we're growing in different sectors, and we want to be one of the best. We want to make sure we outshine everybody with our work, our reporting, our quick response, 24-hour response. We can go out and mobilize our drill rigs, our work, and our reporting within 24 to 48 hours. And I don't think there's anybody out there that can really do what we do.
Well, tell me about what was the most difficult time during your business?
Well, a lot of businesses go through the most difficult time is when you're growing and you're growing fast, that you don't have the capital to meet your payroll, to pay your bills. And the banks that you do have online, they get, very worried that they think you're gonna fall and go under, and they have a lot to lose. So they come in and they start doing audits on your business. But I was very fortunate that I found a new bank, and they really trust me, and they seen the vision that I had, and they really helped us with our credit line and helped us grow.
Guillermo, talk a little bit about, because we know how politics and it can be a rough and tumble business in getting contracts. You got to be aggressive. You got to almost be in their face. You seem like a mild-mannered person, but how do you get down there? And you said you've traveled to Springfield a lot to get these contracts. How difficult can it be? And what were some of your tactics?
Some of my tactics were going down to Springfield, lobbying, being seen by our state representatives and state senators, and talk about the struggles of Hispanic businesses not getting contracts, specifically in the agencies of Illinois Department of Transportation, the Tollway, Metra. We would talk to the the transportation chair, the Senate, and also the state reps, and really voice our opinions and our need for more Hispanics to participate in these contracts. And the more they seen us down in Springfield, and the more they heard us. And then with the voice of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we really pushed those buttons and really opened their eyes that there was a need for Hispanic-owned businesses that were engineering firms not obtaining these contracts and not participating in these contracts. There were barriers that are at the Illinois at the Illinois Department of Transportation, that if you didn't do 3 road projects in Illinois, they would not pre-qualify you. So that was a door, a barrier. So we had to break that door. We had to go in and really lobby and say, can you have these bigger engineering firms mentor us and really give us the opportunity so we can get pre-qualified? And that's what we did. We didn't have no pre-qualifications. Now we have 18 pre-qualifications, which is unheard of at this day and age. So now, not only that we can subcontract to these bigger, larger firms, we also can prime these contracts, which now we bring along and we subcontract larger engineering firms as a subcontract.
But they see your name, they see you down there, but they're just not going to, out of the goodness of their heart, just give you a contract. You still got to fight for them.
Oh yeah. You gotta be in their face. You gotta always bring these issues and talk to them, and also, like I mentioned, talk to the Hispanic caucus and really open their eyes and let them know that there's a need for Hispanic-owned participation in all these contracts in the state of Illinois, and we're talking millions and millions of dollars in infrastructure.
What has been your most significant project to date?
Our significant project to date is probably it's called the CDA, which is the Chicago Department of Aviation, which we're We're the program managers with Jacobs Engineering. We're a joint venture partner. And we manage both airports. All their construction falls under us.
Wow.
And we also run the Tollway GEC, which is a program management program also that we've had for about 10 years. We run the entire tollway system. We help design road barriers for the tollway, new design. We have structural engineers that have been working along with the tollway and a lot of project engineers. And also the Chicago Department of Chicago Transit Authority. We do a lot of work for the Chicago Transit Authority and the Metro. We're program managers for the Metro, where we run the entire Metro system.
And there are a lot of projects coming along with those too, just always expanding.
Always expanding. They're growing. There's a lot of funding with the new infrastructure bill. So the hardest thing right now is finding new talent. We try to hire as many Hispanics that we can, engineers, but it's difficult because there's not too many out there.
So would you recommend students looking to go to engineer to tackle those future jobs?
Oh, yes. That's my biggest want, is to go to high schools, probably grade schools and high schools, and talk to kids about projects or talked about careers that they can go into, and that would be civil engineering. I really pushed my nephew to become a civil engineer, and now he's working for one of the largest civil engineering firms in the world. There are probably 46,000 employees worldwide that he works for right now.
Do you think government or even like the public schools do enough to push youngsters towards those type of careers that could benefit the construction industry?
No, I don't think so. I think we have to be the advocates out there and go out. We do principal of the day back in the day. I don't think they have that anymore. But I used to go out and really talk to students and give them an opportunity and show pictures, show projects that we're working on, and really open up their eyes, because a lot of them just see police officers. No, nothing wrong with police officers, but firemen. But they don't see people like us, somebody who grew up in the same neighborhoods, same color, and give them an opportunity to see what we can do.
Well, Guillermo Garcia is the CEO and founder of GSG Consulting. Guillermo, thank you so much for being here today on today's podcast.
Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
You've been listening and looking at the Latino Business Journey podcast presented by the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm Michael Puente. Thank you for watching and listening.